During the 19th century, during Queen Victoria's reign, it so happened that Queen Victoria had 9 children, 5 daughters and 4 sons. Her youngest son, Leopold, suffered a minor accident which proved to be very fatal. He fell down from the stairs and got a few cuts and bruises. But the blood flow did not stop. Now, his other sisters and brothers did not have this problem. In his next generation, it was seen that Leopold's son and daughter did not have this problem, but Beatrice's sons, Leo and Maurice, and Alice's son, Fred, had the same problem. They died because of the same reason. Fred had smashed his fingers in glass and the blood flow did not stop. Similarly, Leo died in the operation theater because the blood flow could not be stopped. Now, in the next generation, all the sons that were born had this problem. Well, this problem is known as hemophilia. It is a rare disease where the blood clot does not happen. So there is excess amount of blood loss from the body causing death. Now, if you see this chart, you will realize that only men got affected and this disease was spread across generations. Now, since this disease was spread across generations, it is a genetic disease. And since only the men were getting affected, it is feasible for us to say that it is a sex-dependent disease. That is, either the Y chromosome is responsible or the X chromosome is responsible. Now, the Y chromosome determines only the maleness of a person. So, the causative sex chromosome has to be the X chromosome. Now, how were the women not affected in Victoria's family? Well, we've studied this, that both the sex chromosomes in females are X and X. Now, if we go back to Mendel's experiment, try and recall what the genotype was in Mendel's first generation. Yes, the first generation had a genotype capital T, small t. But the phenotype was that of a tall plant. This means that capital T was dominant over small t, which was recessive. Similarly, in Victoria's family, the women had a gene which was healthy and another gene which was hemophilic. But this healthy gene was dominant over the hemophilic gene, and that is why the phenotype was that of a healthy lady. Females carrying this genotype were known as the carriers of the disease, because they carried forward this disease to the next generation. And the carriers are denoted by this symbol. See, the carrier females had diseased sons. Now, you saw from the chart that Victoria was also a carrier for hemophilia. So let us do the crosses. Victoria was a carrier for hemophilia, so her genotype was X, X dash. She married a normal man with the genotype XY. Now, suppose the reproductive cell of Victoria had this chromosome, the X dash chromosome, which had the hemophilic gene. Now, suppose this X-bearing sperm fused with the ovum, then a carrier daughter was born. And when a Y-bearing chromosome fused with this ovum, an affected son was born. Now, can a woman never get affected by hemophilia? Well, yes, she can, only if the hemophilic gene is expressed homozygously. See, both the chromosomes should have the hemophilic gene present. And this is only possible if a carrier woman marries a hemophilic man. The reproductive cells will have half the number of chromosomes. So the female reproductive cells can have X prime or X, and the male reproductive cells can have X prime and Y. Now this combination will yield a hemophilic woman. Now you try and tell me how this happened. Leopold had hemophilia, but Leopold's son did not suffer from this disease, but his grandson did. Well, how did this entire thing happen? How was this genetic disease carried forward to the successive generation? Let us see. Leopold married a normal female. So Leopold's wife had X chromosomes. Leopold was diseased, so he was X prime Y. Now, the reproductive cells get halved. So, if Y-bearing sperm fuses with this ovum, then a normal, healthy male child will be formed. That is how Leopold's son was not affected. But see, they gave birth to a carrier daughter. This is the carrier daughter. Now this carrier daughter married a normal male once again. So the carrier daughter married a normal man. Again, the reproductive cells get halved, so there can be two possibilities. Well, a diseased son can only be born if the Y chromosome carrying sperm fuses with X dash ovum. That is how Leopold's grandson became diseased. These days, the occurrence of such genetic diseases have decreased gradually because the couples have become more aware and educated about their compatibility. If you are an adult and you have a genetic condition, and after having this genetic condition you want to plan a baby, then there are many genetic testings that are available that assess the risk of the baby getting the genetic disease.